Our world is full of hidden marvels and unbelievable moments that lie just beyond the ordinary. Here are 15 incredible sights and events that challenge reality and demand to be seen to be believed. Join us as we explore these wonders hidden in plain sight. Number 15. The Sky Mirror. Among Bolivia's dazzling array of natural wonders, none blend surreal beauty and optical illusion quite like the remarkable sky mirror phenomenon found on the Sala de Uyuni salt flats. During the wet season, when a thin layer of water covers the expanse of flats, the largest mirror in the world materializes, reflecting the heavens with breathtaking precision. The Sala de Uyuni is the planet's most extensive salt flat, spanning over 4,000 square miles at an altitude of 12,000 feet in southwest Bolivia. For most of the year, the vast plain of glittering white salt appears earthbound, but come the first rains, a transformation occurs. As shallow pools spread across the salt pan, the refracting water perfectly mirrors the blue skies and clouds above, blurring the line between heaven and earth. Crisp cloud reflections drift serenely across the mirrored surface in sharp detail, doubling the sky. The slightest ripple fractures the reflections into abstract art. Like a supernatural realm, the ultraflat and watery expanse extends in all directions to the horizon, with no visual cues to judge depth or scale. Walking on the sky mirror feels like floating through the clouds. Dazzling, dreamlike photos can appear like gravity-defying feats. While particularly vivid during the wet season from November to April, glimpses of the mirror effect astound year-round, especially at sunrise and sunset when vibrant colors paint the reflective canvas. Just after rainfall, temporary pools offer smaller, fragmented mirrors dotted with hypnotic concentric ripple patterns. Nature's majesty stretches as far as the eye can see on the Sala, the world's largest natural mirror. While the science is simple, the visual impact connects visitors to skies and lands with new wonder at the frontier of imagination. The Bolivian highland brings heaven and earth together, achieved not through myth but through the humbling simplicity of water. Number 14. Miracle on the Hudson. It was an icy January day in New York when Captain Chesley "Sully" Sullenberger performed an aviation miracle, successfully ditching U.S. Airways Flight 1549 onto the Hudson River and saving all 155 lives aboard. This unprecedented emergency water landing, under harrowing conditions, would be dubbed the Miracle on the Hudson, shocking the world and solidifying Sullenberger's reputation as a pilot of extraordinary skill and composure. On January 15, 2009, Flight 1549 took off from New York's LaGuardia Airport, en route to Charlotte, North Carolina, with 150 passengers and 5 crew members. Climbing to an altitude of around 3,000 feet, just minutes into the flight, the Airbus A320 jet suddenly encountered disaster. A flock of Canada geese struck and disabled both engines. With engines extinguished and no airports within reach for an emergency landing, Captain Sullenberger made a remarkable decision. He would attempt to glide the powerless jet to a controlled ditching into the Hudson River. Coordinating with air traffic controllers, Sullenberger adjusted the plane's course towards the river. Meanwhile, flight attendants calmly prepared passengers for the imminent water impact. As the Airbus's wings sheared the tops of buildings along Manhattan's coast, Sullenberger aligned the aircraft perfectly for a touchdown in the frigid Hudson. The plane landed smoothly near the USS Intrepid Museum, to the awe of onlooking New Yorkers. With power lost, crew members urgently evacuated passengers onto the half-submerged wings and inflatable slides, assisted by nearby ferries that raced to the scene. Incredibly, not a single life was lost as all occupants were rescued from the Miracle on the Hudson flight, defying all odds. Captain Sullenberger was instantly hailed a national hero for his composure and flying skills, having averted catastrophe through quick thinking and technical mastery. The unprecedented ditching stands as one of history's greatest feats of aviation emergency response under fire. Number 13. Penn and Teller's Bullet-Catching Act. For over 4 decades, the world-famous magician duo of Penn and Teller have captivated audiences with their awe-inspiring illusions and death-defying stunts. But perhaps none of their acts have intrigued and mystified more than their legendary bullet catch routine, a staple of their live shows, performed numerous times to shocked crowds in venues across the globe. This incredible stunt has its roots in magic history, yet Penn and Teller execute it with a flair and bravado all their own. The Bullet Catch Act has been a fixture of magic shows for over a century, with the earliest recorded performance dating back to 1840. The premise involves the magician catching a bullet fired directly at them by an audience member or assistant, often in their mouth or between their teeth. This seemingly deadly feat requires nerves of steel from the magician, as even the slightest miscalculation can prove fatal. In fact, at least a dozen magicians have tragically died on stage while attempting the bullet catch over the years. What makes Penn and Teller's version of this illusion so remarkable is their unique twist on the traditional approach. For their bullet catch routine, Teller positions himself on one end of the stage while Penn stands opposite with a firearm. After displaying the bullet to the audience, Penn loads it into the gun and fires directly at Teller across the stage. Impossibly, Teller then reveals he has caught the speeding bullet cleanly between his teeth, emerging entirely unharmed. This death-defying stunt seems to push the boundaries of physics and human capability to their absolute limits. The bullet zips from the gun to Teller's face in a fraction of a second, making the timing and coordination required to catch it successfully appear superhuman. Their ability to perform this act flawlessly, night after night, showcases the pinpoint skill and unwavering confidence needed to tame such immense danger. Yet, even after witnessing it firsthand, the secrets behind Penn and Teller's unique technique remain closely guarded. They have offered glimpses behind the scenes of their creative process over the years while still maintaining an aura of mystery around the mechanics involved. Number 12. Breaking the sound barrier. On October 14, 1947, United States Air Force pilot Chuck Yeager achieved a pivotal milestone in aviation history when he became the first person to break the sound barrier, flying his experimental Bell X-1 rocket plane faster than the speed of sound. This groundbreaking supersonic flight pushed the boundaries of aeronautics and ushered in a new era of high-speed jet aviation. The quest to break the sound barrier, or fly faster than the propagation speed of sound waves through the air, fascinated engineers and pilots for decades leading up to 1947. Many experts doubted that it was survivable or physically possible. After numerous setbacks during World War II, the top-secret X-1 aircraft was developed with the specific aim of taking on this elusive aviation goal. The X-1 was shaped like a .50 caliber bullet, with thin, swept-back wings. Powered by a 4-chamber XLR-11 rocket engine, it could reach supersonic velocities. After months of tests, Yeager was chosen as the pilot to attempt the sound barrier flight due to his superb piloting skills and steadfast calm under pressure. On the historic morning of October 14th, the X-1 was airdropped from a B-29 bomber at 25,000 foot over California's Mojave Desert. Yeager ignited the rocket and began accelerating, pushing through intense buffeting as shock waves interacted with the plane. His velocity steadily climbed until it exceeded 662 miles per hour, the speed of sound at that altitude. As Yeager broke the barrier, the shaking abruptly stopped, and the X-1 continued accelerating smoothly and relatively quietly past Mach 1. Data recordings on the ground showed he had reached 700 miles per hour at 43,000 feet. Yeager had successfully navigated the challenges of supersonic flight. After 5 minutes, he slowed the X-1 and safely landed, securing his place forever in history. Number 11. Felix Baumgartner's skydive. Felix Baumgartner, an Austrian daredevil, accomplished an astonishing feat for the ages on October 14, 2012, when he jumped from a helium balloon in the stratosphere, 39 kilometers above Earth, breaking the sound barrier in freefall before safely parachuting down. This death-defying leap pushed human limits and set breathtaking records, captivating millions globally. Venturing into the extreme altitudes of near space, Baumgartner ascended in a custom high-altitude balloon capsule, reaching an altitude of 39.45 m. The view from the stratospheric edge of space revealed the curvature of Earth and its blanket of clouds and blue atmosphere against the blackness of space. After running through a pre-jump checklist, Baumgartner opened the capsule and stepped off into the void. Within 40 seconds, he accelerated to supersonic speed, breaking the sound barrier and achieving a maximum velocity of 1,356 kilometers per hour during the 4-minute and 20-second freefall. He became the first skydiver to break the sound barrier outside an aircraft. Baumgartner also set records for the highest manned balloon flight, highest skydive jump, and fastest freefall. His stunt parachute opened smoothly at 1,900 m and he touched down safely in the New Mexico desert. The Red Bull Stratos team, monitoring every moment from the ground control center, cheered wildly as their friend returned to terra firma. Number 10. Chernobyl disaster first responders. In the wake of the catastrophic 1986 Chernobyl nuclear accident, countless first responders selflessly risked their lives saving others and containing the damage, knowing full well the mortal dangers of radiation exposure. Their unfathomable sacrifices prevented even greater calamity, while their steadfast courage and duty in the face of horror captured the world's hearts and minds. When Chernobyl's Reactor 4 exploded on April 26, 1986, spewing radioactive contamination over a vast area, authorities were slow to grasp the immense scope of the disaster. Firefighters were the first to respond, extinguishing flames and preventing a thermal explosion of the core, despite receiving staggering radiation doses. In the ensuing days, 500,000 civilian and military personnel were mobilized for the perilous work of disaster response and evacuation. Realizing the need for dramatic action, scientists Alexei Ananenko, Valery Bespalov, and Boris Baranov volunteered to locate and release critical water valves in the flooded reactor basement. Suited only in dim lights and wading through highly radioactive water, the suicide squad located the valves and succeeded, after multiple attempts, in draining water, averting a devastating steam explosion. Their courageous mission, completed in mere minutes to limit radiation exposure, is credited with saving millions of lives at extraordinary personal cost. Over the long months and years of cleanup, hundreds of thousands of liquidators absorbed dangerous levels of radiation, demolishing structures, burying waste, and rebuilding. By 1987, over 30 responders had perished from acute radiation sickness. Their collective sacrifice in the face of invisible threats embodies nobility and moral purpose. Number 9. Aurora Borealis. Shimmering across northern skies is one of nature's most spellbinding shows, the dazzling dance of the Aurora Borealis, also known as the Northern Lights. This astronomical phenomenon has captivated people for millennia with its entrancing, otherworldly beauty. There are few sights that can inspire the same degree of wonder and humility as the radiant Aurora Borealis illuminating the heavens. The fundamental cause behind the northern lights lies in the stream of charged particles constantly ejected from the sun, known as the solar wind. When these energetic particles collide with gases in Earth's upper atmosphere, the gas atoms become excited and release photons, creating the auroral light show. Vast storms on the sun's surface generate increased solar wind activity, leading to more intense auroral displays. The colors of the aurora result from the type of atmospheric gas that interacted with it. Most commonly, green and pink hues occur from collisions with oxygen atoms approximately 60 miles above the surface. Blue lights derive from nitrogen atoms at higher altitudes, above 150 miles. Red auroras, the rarest and most spectacular type, originate from high-altitude oxygen. While auroras can happen globally, the northern lights are concentrated around the Arctic Circle due to Earth's magnetic field. The shifting formations of light resemble flowing, rippling curtains that dynamically dance across the night. Sometimes, long wavering bands stretch and twist elegantly. Other times, swift flickering bursts crackle overhead. To indigenous Arctic peoples, the auroras held mystical significance, seen as communications from ancestral spirits or demarcations of sacred terrain. Even today, witnessing the northern lights firsthand often elicits profound spiritual reactions and renewed connections to nature's grandeur. From a scientific lens, auroras provide valuable windows into space weather phenomena and the Sun-Earth relationship. Ongoing research monitors aurora activity using networks of ground cameras and space satellites to track their complex behavior. Number 8. Rescue of Jessica McClure. In October 1987, the world was captivated by an astounding rescue operation that saved the life of 18-month-old Jessica McClure after she became trapped in a narrow well shaft in Midland, Texas. Over a tense 58 hours, rescuers managed to finally reach baby Jessica by drilling a parallel shaft beside the original one. Their determination and ingenious efforts in the face of immense challenges became emblematic of the human spirit's capacity to overcome. On October 14, 1987, Jessica was playing in the backyard of her aunt's home when she fell into an abandoned 8-inch wide well shaft, approximately 22 feet deep. Authorities were immediately alerted once her absence was noticed. However, the well's narrowness prevented rescuers from descending directly down the shaft to reach her. Emergency personnel, including paramedics, firefighters, and mining engineers, quickly arrived to assist. Leading the rescue team was Chief Robert O'Donnell. It soon became clear the only course was to dig a parallel shaft and tunnel horizontally to intersect Jessica's position. Voluntary workers operated bulldozers, excavating equipment, and well-casing tubes to commence drilling operations. Progress advanced slowly at first, hampered by difficult geological conditions. As the rescue effort stretched through a second and third day, the nation followed live TV coverage of each development. With cold fall nights approaching, Jessica's chances for survival looked grim. However, late on October 16th, rescuers finally broke through the well wall and spotted Jessica. She was lifted to freedom, miraculously alive, but suffering from hypothermia and dehydration. While countless individuals contributed to the rescue, the efforts of Chief O'Donnell were pivotal, devising creative solutions under extreme pressure. His remarkable perseverance and coordination saved Jessica's life against all odds. The event became regarded as a defining human interest story of the 1980s. Number 7. Frozen bubbles. Among Alberta, Canada's icy-covered lakes in winter, Abraham Lake presents an astounding phenomenon. Glistening bands and stacks of methane bubbles trapped beneath the frozen surface, creating magical icy patterns. The sight is utterly mesmerizing, but also a visible symptom of larger, invisible processes at work. Abraham Lake, formed by a dam on the North Saskatchewan River, is home to specialized microorganisms that release methane as they decompose organic matter on the lake bed. Much of this methane becomes trapped by winter ice before it can reach the atmosphere. The resulting frozen bubbles accumulate into stunning arrangements and shapes. When the low angle of the winter sun illuminates the bubbles and ice just right, they gleam with a turquoise brilliance that looks otherworldly, like glinting alien pods or abstract art installations. Photographers flock to capture these fleeting moments, but there is a downside to this beauty. Abraham Lake's methane bubbling is a vivid indicator of increasing greenhouse gases being released from thawing permafrost as the climate warms. This prepares the bubble's eventual escape into the atmosphere as the ice melts, exacerbating global warming. The presence of these methane bubbles represents a delicate balance of competing forces: nature's elemental beauty, life adapting to extreme environments, and the growing impact of climate shifts all collide in this unique phenomenon to provoke awe but also urgent concern. Frozen bubble wonderlands like Abraham Lake highlight Earth's interwoven magic and fragility. They call us to appreciate each manifestation of life and beauty around us while safeguarding the balance that sustains the deepest mysteries. Our future may depend on how we respond to nature's omens. Number 6. Taikavejetsu. In one of the most daring rescue missions ever undertaken, a group of 12 young soccer players and their coach were rescued after being trapped for 18 treacherous days in 2018 inside a flooded cave complex in northern Thailand. This tremendous feat captivated global audiences and became emblematic of the human capacity for perseverance and ingenuity against incredible odds. On June 23, 2018, the boys from the Wild Boars soccer team, ages 11 to 16, entered the Tam Luang Cave system in Chiang Rai province with their 25-year-old assistant coach, Ekapal Chantawang. Shortly afterward, monsoon rains flooded sections of the extensive 10-kilometers cave, trapping them over 2 miles inside with limited food or light and dwindling oxygen. When the group didn't return as expected, frantic search efforts commenced. After 9 days, 2 skilled British divers located the team on a small ledge in a chamber, safely above the waterline but unable to exit through the flooded passageways. A multinational rescue operation began, rallying over 1,000 personnel, including divers, engineers, medics, and military forces, installing guide ropes and staging oxygen tanks along the route. Elite cave divers escorted the boys out through the treacherous submerged tunnels, sedated and wearing wetsuits and oxygen masks. Each child was carefully maneuvered along the hours-long underwater journey, clasped between 2 divers. After 3 days, the entire team was rescued and lifted to safety. Tragically, one Thai Navy SEAL lost his life during the operation. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. Fashion shows can harbor utterly unbelievable moments you must see to believe. From models tripping on the runway to avant-garde clothing designs, fashion shows have witnessed their fair share of shocking and controversial happenings. The modern catwalk fashion show was born in the early 20th century. Since then, the format of fashion shows has evolved with changing trends and seasons, typically categorized by clothing type and show format. Shows range from formal couture to risque lingerie presentations. Lingerie fashion shows started gaining popularity in the 1980s, unsurprisingly sparking controversies and memorable incidents along the way. For instance, back in 2013, a rookie model made headlines when she dislocated her knee after tripping on the runway. Additionally, lingerie shows have faced accusations of objectification over the years. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments. Number 5. Eye of the Sahara. One of the most vivid geological formations viewable from space is the breathtaking circular structure known as the Rikat structure or Eye of the Sahara in the African nation of Mauritania. This bullseye-shaped geologic marvel captures the imagination with its symmetry and scale, leaving a lasting impact on all who gaze upon its grandeur. Centered in the parched Mauritanian desert, the giant dome-like structure has a diameter spanning 25 miles, with prominent concentric rings etched into the arid landscape. The various bands alternate between light and darker sedimentary rock, eroded into spectacular patterns. In the innermost ring, extensive fractures expose a mosaic of shattered rock fragments that give the eye its light coloration in satellite images. Encircled by sloping hills and cliffs of darker iron-rich quartzite, this geological makeup arises from immense pressures uplifting the landscape eons ago. Early astronomers, astronauts, and satellite reconnaissance missions took special note of the eye's beauty and mysterious origins. Scientists now believe it may be an eroded astrobleem, an ancient asteroid impact site, heavily weathered by wind and sand over millions of years. The Ricat structure's immense scale can only be fully grasped from aerial perspectives, yet at ground level, the rippling bands and textures still impress the eye with rhythmic wonder. The eye retains its allure from all angles, never ceasing to inspire curiosity and awe. Number 4. Foxfire phenomenon. Few sights in nature inspire quite as much intrigue and awe as the spectral glow of foxfire, dancing through the shadows of forests at night. This bioluminescence derives not from fairies but rather from a biological reaction within fungi that creates an otherworldly blue-green illumination. The foxfire phenomenon is produced by certain species of fungus present in forest environments worldwide. These luminescent fungi include Omphalodus olearius and Messina chlorophyllus, among others, found predominantly on decaying wood. The glow emanates from the mycelium and fruiting bodies of the fungi. The chemistry behind the bewitching foxfire stems from a complex enzyme reaction within the fungal hyphae. Luciferase enzymes in the fungus interact with oxygen, luciferin, and cellular energy molecules to generate visible light through bioluminescence. This cool blue glow helps attract spores and insects to aid dispersal. In the folklore of many cultures, observations of foxfire fueled superstitions around will-o'-the-wisps and supernatural forest spirits. Even its ethereal modern glow retains an aura of the mystical. The illumination typically appears more pronounced in low-light conditions, lending an animated ambience to the forest. Famed locations to observe foxfire include Japan's Kochi Prefecture, where the luminescent Messina chlorophyllus mushrooms are known as Hitosuki take or love at first sight mushroom. In the Great Smoky Mountains, foxfire from Pinellas stypticus provides an iconic spectacle referenced in local history and traditions. Number 3. Bloodfalls. Among the frigid expanse of East Antarctica lies one of the most mystifying natural wonders on Earth, defying all expectations against the icy white backdrop, the haunting vision of bloodfalls. This bizarre phenomenon is no mere trick of the light, but rather a permanent geological feature with a fascinating scientific explanation behind its vivid crimson color. Bloodfalls is situated at the snout of Taylor Glacier in Antarctica's McMurdo Dry Valleys. It earns its chilling name from the rich, blood-red liquid that sporadically pours from the glacier's face. The dramatic color stands out starkly against the snowy, icy terrain, looking alarmingly like blood oozing from an open wound in the landscape. The earliest recorded observation of blood falls dates back to 1911 during the British Antarctic expedition led by Victor Campbell. The bizarre discovery must have been incredibly perplexing before modern science could decode the forces behind it. Now we know the secret behind the fall's ghoulish appearance lies in the peculiar chemistry and geology of the location. Researchers have discovered that the source of the falls is an ancient saltwater lake trapped beneath the Taylor Glacier. This subsurface reservoir became isolated and pressurized when the thick glacier advanced over it long ago. The trapped briny water is rich in iron, picking up the mineral as it leaches through the bedrock below. When this iron-laden water finally breaches the glacier surface and makes contact with oxygen, the iron immediately oxidizes, turning the outflow of blood falls its distinctive bloody hue. The color ranges from bright red when the flow is strong to a brownish rust tinge during weaker seepage. Scientists have also detected microbial communities dwelling in the isolated brine lake, representing unique life forms that evolved to thrive in extreme conditions. These extremophiles add further fascination to the ecosystem encapsulated under the glacier. Number 2. Murmurations. Among nature's most spellbinding aerial displays are the spectacular murmurations created by enormous flocks of birds wheeling through the skies in tightly synchronized formations. Watching thousands of birds, like European starlings or shorebirds, coordinate their fluttering wings to move as one rippling organism is an experience that amazes both scientists and onlookers alike. These mesmerizing murmurations happen most frequently around dusk as huge communal roosts of birds merge together before descending to roost for the night. The patterns pulse and twist fluidly, compressing in some parts while expanding in others, the entire flock acting like a superorganism. Within the amorphous swarms, each bird flies based on simple rules, keeping a safe distance from neighbors. This collective behavior enables vast, coordinated gatherings of birds to move and navigate together, protecting individuals from predators. Mathematical models suggest birds don't consciously coordinate. They merely react to those around them, creating cascading effects. Some prime locations to witness enormous murmurations include Somerset's Avalon Marshes in England, where hundreds of thousands of starlings congregate, and the River Shannon estuary in Ireland, home to dazzling aerial displays of shorebirds. The unpredictability of the morphing patterns makes each display unique. The breathtaking beauty of murmurations is complemented by their valuable role in avian ecology. They offer warmth, pooled local knowledge, and cooperative advantages that help migrating and resident birds survive challenging conditions during winter months. Number 1. Devil's Kettle Waterfall. Splitting the flowing Brule River in Minnesota, the Devil's Kettle Waterfall has confounded visitors and researchers for decades with a geological anomaly. Half the river cascades into a huge pothole, but the water disappears with seemingly no outlet. Unlocking this hydrological mystery would require persistent scientific detective work. The Devil's Kettle consists of two parallel waterfalls on the Brule River, located in Judge Cyr Magny State Park near the border with Canada. The east plunge flows normally, but the western portion empties into a giant pothole eroded into the rock behind the waterfall. The 15-foot-wide hole is estimated to be at least 50 feet deep. Generations of observers wondered what became of the surrendered river water. Some speculated that it drained into another outlet somewhere along the river's length, but tests injecting dyes into the pothole never detected any traces downstream. The water seemed to simply vanish. Stumped hydroecologists proposed that immense underground caverns must absorb the pothole's waters, but scans found no evidence of major caves. Lacking answers, the Devil's Kettle endured as a geological legend, even earning a reputation as a disposal site for unwanted objects. Finally, in 2017, researchers conclusively solved the mystery using advanced modeling and simulations. Their insights revealed the pothole disconnect to the river through extremely narrow, winding cracks, impeding the visible passage of materials and water flow. This perfectly explains why the river half could disappear, seemingly into nowhere, for so long.